So let's go through a couple of examples. Maybe this will help. Supposing I'm thinking of starting a new business, I want to open a coffee shop. And I've done my research, and my very simplistic research, because my only costs associated with opening a coffee shop. I'm going to have to pay $15,000 a year for rent. I'm going to have to pay $15,000 for furnishings, and I am planning on selling my coffee at $5 a cup, and I figure it's going to cost me about $2 a cup for the fixins, for the coffee, for the paper, for the sugar, for the cream. So what would that $2 per unit coffee cups condiments be? It would be marginal cost or direct variable cost, okay. And then the $15,000 rent, $15,000 furnishings, what would that be? Fixed costs. And I just want to call your attention is I expressed rent. I guess that's a fixed cost. It could be amortized if I wanted to break it down day by day, but we'll just call it a fixed cost. So if I have a $30,000 in fixed costs, I've got $5 a cup revenue, I have $2 in direct variable costs. What is my unit contribution if you can't read it from the bottom of the screen? $3. So what would my break-even point be? How many cups of coffee do I have to sell in order to pay off $30,000 in fixed cost? 10,000 cups. Okay. So that's the theoretical part of this exercise. And then the practical part of this exercise, realistically, can you expect to sell 10,000 cups of coffee? It depends. Or, well, the point is, this is a tool for evaluating business decisions, help making business decisions. So what the math is telling me that I have to sell 10,000 cups, what I need from the smarts business person is 10,000 cups realistic, maybe through market research. I've sat outside a couple of coffee shops and I've observed the number of people coming in and out and just seeing what they're carrying, and I can estimate how many cups I can sell a day. So we decide that that's realistic. Then I know that I need to sell at least 10,000 cups to break even, and I need to sell more than that if I want to make money. So it's kind of like, how many cups do I have to sell to pay off the bank loan? But who here wants to work for free? Nobody, okay. And this is really where the power of break-even analysis comes in, because just the generic how many units do I have to sell to cover my fixed cost is kind of boring. But we can use this framework for evaluating lots of dimensions of the same business decision. So for example, I don't want to work for free. If I'm going to open a coffee shop, I need to make at least $30,000 a year to make it worth my while, right? So how would we treat that $30,000? So I'm glad you guys agree. I just couldn't hear it. So it's a fixed cost because I'm going to pay myself a salary or we're not going to do it. It's not negotiable. Okay, so we've got that same other setup. I'm making $3 per unit contribution. Now my fixed costs are $60,000. How many cups of coffee do I have to sell to break even? 20,000. But see, breaking even now is breaking even, covering my bank loan and covering the salary that I need to pay myself. So the break even is kind of an arbitrary term that we use to say we've met our objective. So now we ask that same question. Is it realistic to sell 20,000 cups? Okay, let's say we've done that research. Yes, we can realistically sell 20,000 cups. Now it makes more sense to go into the business because I can pay a salary and I have an expectation of paying off the bank loan and making a salary. So let's ask another question, very common business question. Should I advertise? Okay. Say again?
Probably.
Probably, good answer. Speaking as an advertising major. I would advertise hopefully to increase my business, and let's just pretend I've done some market research. And, oh, excuse me. Oh, this is a different example. Okay, sorry, different example. Sorry. So if I want to increase my volume, what happens if I cut my price and increase volume? Should I cut my price? Would that be smart? So rather than selling it at $5 a cup, I'm going to sell it at $3 a cup. What are my fixed costs? 60,000. And what's my contribution now that I've reduced my price? $1. My direct variable costs stay the same. So now I've got $60,000 on the fixed cost side of the equation and $1 contribution. How many cups of coffee do I have to sell? Or how many cups of coffee will I sell if I cut my price? Listen to me. So what did I say? Okay, there we go. So I did the market research, and the market research said that if I cut my price, I should double sales. Yes?
But if you're at break even, how can you advertise since you're not making a profit? Wouldn't you go in negative?
Okay, so the question was, if I have break even, how can I advertise? Won't I go negative? And that's my next example. And that's a great question, and what I want you to get is you can use anything and throw it into this equation. You just need to know whether to call it a fixed cost or a variable cost. And if you have that, then this becomes a very powerful business analysis tool. So I just did a bad job introducing this one. So what I'm saying, I read ahead in the book, is if I cut my price, my market research tells me I'll double sales. Okay, so how many did I sell before? I sold 20,000 units. So if I cut my price, my contribution is $1, which means that my break-even point is now 60,000 cups. Is that a good decision or a bad decision? Bad decision. Because I need 60,000 cups to break even, but my market research says that I'm only going to sell 40,000 cups. It doesn't make any sense to lower my price to increase my volume. I'm losing money. See how that helps? This is price sensitivity analysis in there. So let's talk about advertising. I've done advertising, and I've got this deal where I can spend $15,000 or $15,000 on advertising, but if I want to do that, I want to make a profit on that advertising, right? So I want to make $15,000 on the advertising. So how many additional cups of coffee do I have to sell to pay for that advertising? So I'm trying to break, no, so you've already caught I'm not trying to break even on my advertising. I'm building in, I want to invest $15,000 in advertising, and I want to make at least $15,000 more than I invested. So I need 10,000 more cups because you read that at the bottom of the screen. How'd you get there?
Same way we did it when we were first talking about ready furnishing.
Okay, same way we did it before. So, but for the people who aren't as quick as you, they're not in this room, the ones online.
You take 15,000 it's going to cost. You add in the money you want to get back, which is 15,000, or not get back, but make. Or you can just say because you want a return of 15,000.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. So I'm going to incur an additional $15,000 cost. That's fixed cost. I am, just as when I wanted to pay myself a salary, I'm just saying there needs to be another $15,000 in there, so we'll treat that as a fixed cost. So from a break-even analysis standpoint, if I'm going to invest in advertising, if I'm going to invest $15,000, I want to make a return of $30,000, I would need to sell an additional 10,000 cups of coffee in order to pay for the advertising and generate a return. And then we ask the question, is selling an additional 10,000 cups realistic? So you see all kinds of questions. Should I advertise? Should I cut my price? Should I raise my price? What would happen if we start getting into multiple products? It gets a little bit complicated. But this basic framework of if it's a fixed cost or a variable cost, and it's whether it's something I have to pay back or whether it's contributing to paying something back, just a powerful tool for analysis. Questions, comments? Totally confused and unwilling to admit it, join the club.